Chapter 17 is all about the informative speech. The objectives I'd like you to focus on in this chapter are to be able to paraphrase the principles of informative speaking, especially the ones I'm going to focus on in this lecture, to be able to describe the differences between an informative speech of description, a speech of definition, and a speech of demonstration. So the goal of your informative speech is simply to give information, and your topic will fall into the category of either a descriptive topic, a definition, or a demonstration. Here are some principles to remember about informative speaking. You definitely want to focus on the audience, and this once again demonstrates that your analysis of who your audience will be and their knowledge base about your topic is so important because you want to meet them where they're at. On the other hand, you don't want to bore them if they already know something about your topic. So it's really important to think about your audience, who you'll be speaking to. Limit the amount of information. There's only so much you can include in a short speech, such as we're going to be doing in this class. And so I'd rather you focus on the depth of your topic rather than the breadth of your topic. Adjust the level of complexity. You don't want to stay in the really complex stuff the entire speech because you want people to be able to relate to what you're saying. So you may want to vary your level of complexity, your level of abstraction. You want to stress the relevance and usefulness. You want to choose a topic and make your thesis statement as easy to understand as possible. You want your topic to be something that may be useful to your audience. It's often helpful to relate new information to information that they're already familiar with. When you're going to introduce new concepts, new ideas, it does help to relate those new concepts and new ideas to what the audience is already familiar with. We already covered varying the levels of abstraction. Make it easy to remember. One way to make your speech easy to remember, and the point of your speech easy to remember, is at the conclusion, just kind of sum up, restate your main points, and sum up the ultimate purpose of your speech. So let's talk first about a speech of description. And many students will be doing a speech of description, I'm sure. These are some examples of topics. These are not thesis statements, but they're topics that would be included, would be described as a speech of description. The structure of the brain, the hierarchy of General Motors, the cultural contributions of Homer Simpson. And these are all going to be descriptions. So the thesis states what you will describe in your speech. It's your most important concept. It's what you want the audience to remember. Let's say we have a thesis statement. Homer Simpson contributed to our culture both as a role model for fatherhood and an exemplary company employee. Using that thesis statement, here's how you would probably come up with your main points. Now, the main points are the subdivisions of your thesis. You might ask yourself questions. Okay, my first main point. Let's have our first main point be Homer was an outstanding father. So you'll ask yourself, in what ways was Homer an outstanding father? And those will be your subpoints. Your second main point B, would probably be Homer was an exemplary employee. So your subpoints would be, okay, what qualities made Homer an exemplary employee? Now here is where your supporting material comes in. You're going to be fleshing out these main points. You're going to be fleshing out the subpoints. You want to make them interesting and memorable. This is where you'll use narratives, testimony, examples, maybe statistics, maybe charts, all of these and more, as described in Chapter 15. Now let's look at what a speech of definition might be. A definition is a statement of the meaning or significance of a concept or a term. Let's look at some examples of this. You may come up with a topic that will be considered a definition. And here are a couple examples of topics that would be considered making a speech of definition. The meaning of political correctness, or what nanotechnology is. Now, these are just topics. These are not thesis statements, but these could both be considered speeches of definition. Here are a couple more topics that might lend themselves to a speech of definition. If you want to define a system or a theory, such as what is socialism, or what is the theory of evolution? You may want to define similar or dissimilar terms or systems, and these would also fall in the category of a speech of definition. For example, if you come up with a topic, the differences between socialism and communism, or what do Jews and Christians have in common? Maybe, how do Shiites differ from other Muslims? These are topics. But your thesis must always be a statement. It can never be a question. And it needs to be a complete statement, too, a complete sentence. So try creating a thesis for each of these. Now let's go on to a speech of demonstration. A speech of demonstration is really showing how to do something or how something operates. The temporal organization for a speech works best with speeches of demonstration. A few examples of topics that would be considered demonstration topics might be how to make an angel food cake, or how a nuclear power plant creates electricity, or maybe how to draw a cartoon character. Why do you think the temporal organization is most useful with topics such as these? Think about it. Try creating a thesis statement for each of these topics of demonstration, because each of these is a sentence fragment, so you want to make your thesis statement always a complete sentence. Speeches of demonstration lend themselves even more so than the previous two types of informative speeches to the use of visual aids and pictures, anything visual. They are particularly helpful in a speech of demonstration.